Hello, good people. It is Todd Shannon, data scientist, social commentator, and sayer of true things. And today we've got a really interesting topic. I want to start with a scripture from Ecclesiastes, and that says, "Wisdom exceeds folly like light exceeds darkness." Now, I want you to keep that in mind as we talk because it's a powerful, powerful word picture of what we're going to discuss today. And the topic of our discussion today, of all people, are TED Talks, right? TED Talks are supposed to be ideas worth spreading. That's their whole mantra. That's their motto. But apparently there was one particular talk that they recorded and agreed to that they didn't think was worth spreading. And ironically, it was about probably the most non-controversial position that one could take, which is that we should live in a colorblind society, or more specifically, that we should treat people based on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. You know, that whole Martin Luther King guy, I think he had a lot to say about that, and most of us agree with it because it's common sense. But apparently, the modern left has a problem with that. So when he gave his talk, this gentleman gave his talk, this gentleman named Coleman Hughes, which I'll introduce you to in a moment. When he gave his talk, apparently there were some people at TED that got the sads, right? So they didn't think his talk was worth releasing. But Coleman Hughes is a really sharp social commentator. He's got great content on race and culture, and he's actually got a book coming up about color blindness. So let's let Coleman talk about what happened with him and TED, and then we'll be back to talk about it.
So the day after my talk, I get an email from Chris saying that a group called Black at TED would like to speak with you. Or
red flag number one. If you've got an organization called Black at TED in your organization, or Black at wherever, probably not a good idea, but let's continue.
Or actually, to be more precise, would you be willing to speak with this group Black at TED? There are some hurt feelings, and maybe if we get you in a room together, this can all be resolved. So I said, sure, happy to speak to them. And then I got an email right after that saying, actually, I don't think they're willing to speak with you. And Black at TED.
Red flag number two, they don't want to talk about it. Let's continue.
Is an employee resource group at TED that creates kind of a safe space for Black employees. After I get home from the TED conference, a few weeks later, I get an email from Chris saying, there's major blowback to your talk and people are saying that we should not post it at all. I hadn't actually considered that it might not get posted at all until that point. In the same email, he sends me a meta-analysis, which he said he got from a social scientist friend, which showed my talk to be inaccurate. At this point, I'm thinking, okay, are they preparing the grounds to censor my talk using fact-checking as a pretense, even though it passed the fact-checking team? You know, every word of a TED Talk gets fact-checked before it gets spoken, and you don't deviate from the script at all, and I didn't. So I looked at the meta-analysis, and right in the abstract, it said colorblindness is negatively correlated with stereotyping and negatively correlated with prejudice, not correlated either way with discrimination. And the only negative finding was that it's negatively correlated with supporting DEI policies. Yes, you heard that correctly. The negative finding about colorblindness was that it leads people not to support policies like affirmative action and permissive immigration. That's how the paper defined it.
Well, negatively correlated with the DEI stuff. I actually think that's pretty good. That's kind of the idea, right? We want to get to a place where we have race-neutral policies, procedures, and general interactions with people, right? It's not about your race, it's about who you are, and that should be a good thing. But I want you to notice some of the things he said. He talked about their hurt feelings. They had the sads. The facts and logic made them feel sad, and so they said, we shouldn't have this TED Talk released because, people will be sad. Is there anything more pathetic, right? But I want to get to the root of what this is about. This is why I started with Ecclesiastes. Think about this word picture. Wisdom exceeds folly like light exceeds darkness. Let's imagine now you had light and you had darkness and they're inhabiting the same general space. Is there any scenario possible where the darkness can consume the light? Obviously, the answer is no. But the light has nothing to worry about when it comes to the darkness. When the light comes into the darkness must recede, right? And so The general principle is that if the two are trying to inhabit the same space at the same time, the light will win every single time. And this is the reason why people who believe false things never want people who say true things to be able to speak. This is an ironclad principle. And there's a bookended principle or scripture that also the Bible talks about, is that light came into the world and men loved darkness because their deeds were evil. Whenever someone is saying something that is true, it is like light. It's like disinfectant. It bursts into the area, into the scene, and everything that is wrong and everything that is false is exposed. And people who believe false things and who want to hold on to the false ideas for reasons that are dishonest or that show their own personal prejudices and biases, they get upset, they get angry, they get sad, they want to suppress, they need a safe space. You know, people who have the right sort of attitude about the truth and about their ideas, they are never afraid of having their ideas challenged. And this should tell you a lot about the modern left. The modern left is, they've basically cornered the market in trying to censor ideas and speech that they don't like. This is why our free speech is often under attack, because they know that their ideas on their faces cannot compete with the truth. Wisdom exceeds folly, like light exceeds darkness. And the left puts forth ideas and concepts that are often so absurd and self-evidently false that the only way they can flourish is if they don't let the light enter into the same space. Think about libs of TikTok. Everyone knows about libs of TikTok. This lady had a Twitter account where basically all she did was take TikToks from people who are leftist and liberal, hence the term libs of TikTok, and she would just repost them.
How many followers do you have now?
Right now on Twitter, 2.4 million.
And what about on TikTok?
I don't have a TikTok account. I was banned.
Oh, you're not on TikTok anymore. So libs of TikTok is not on TikTok.
No, we were banned.
When?
A year and a half ago.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, I thought TikTok was your big thing.
Oh, we were banned from everything. You name it, we were banned.
Why?
Like
for just
I said,
reporting what other people said.
Yeah, it's too effective. It was way too effective for the left. They couldn't handle it.
There would be no editorial, no commentary. There would be no additional expounding on the content. It was just stuff that people put out into the public sphere that she just reposted. And the stuff was so absurd that people could hardly believe it. These tweets or these TikToks, I should say, that were fairly obscure, and they only were put out because they basically existed to be consumed by a very relatively small number of people who believe in false ideas and who propagate them. But once it became exposed that people were thinking in these obviously false and absurd ways, they got upset. They literally banned her account because she was just reposting their ideas. Now think about that. All she did was just say, this is what these people believe. And people were so aghast at the absurdity and the immoral and the weird stuff that they were doing, right? They thought that they were going to operate in the shadows and slowly but surely desensitize people and convince people to accept their ideas until they could get more traction. But when people started to see what these people were really about, then there came a backlash. So what is the general point? The general point is, whenever we're in the public sphere, we have to be able to speak the truth. And there is a strong contingent of people out there who don't want your truth to be heard, not because it's bigoted, not because it's hateful, not because it's mean, as the things that they're typically proclaiming about the things that we say when we say the truth. It's because wisdom exceeds folly, like light exceeds darkness. But I'm interested to hear what you think. Leave a comment. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, friends, God bless you.